in today's video, we're going to explore how you can go out and show and hide elements inside a Bricks builder based on post type conditions. So we're going to look at a couple of different methods that you can use. The first one is going to be in the condition builder inside a Bricks builder, which you may be used to, where you can go up and click on an element and set your conditions here and set the post type there. But we're also going to go and look at how you would stack multiple post type conditions. So for example, here we are going to show the selected element if it's a blog post. But what about if we want to do something where we want to show it if it's a blog post or an opt-in page? So we can look at that and how to set that up using the echo function. But then what we're also going to do is if I go here on this blog post and go down to the PHP code area, we're going to look at how you can go and show and hide elements inside a Bricks builder using a little bit of PHP. So it's going to be using this function here that Bricks builder offers us in their plugin. And the final code that we're going to write by the end of today's tutorial is going to look something like this, where we have our filter that Bricks gives us. We're going to check the current post type. And then based on the post type, we're going to come down here and get the ID of the element and show and hide it. There is a bird out there so loud right now. But we're going to go out and write some code to basically be able to manage more complex conditions using PHP. I'm going to run you through exactly how this function works, how to get the ID of your elements so you can show and hide them. Now, if you like learning in written form, this is an actual blog post that you can go and visit. I'm going to link to it in the description below. It is very thorough, and you can definitely go and just navigate to the points that you want to go to using the table of contents at the bottom. So with that introduction out of the way, let's look at a very basic example of going out and hiding an element on our page based on one single post type condition. And then throughout this video, we're going to add more complexity, add more sections that we're excluding, and add more post types that we're trying to set rules for. And at the end of this video, we're going to bring it all together so that you can make a better educated decision as to which one you want to use in each scenario. So let's start off with the very basic thing and hide one element based on one post type condition. So if we jump back to our admin area and I go to Bricks and then templates and we go down, if I have a look at my header template and I go edit with Bricks, where this is my header and it's applying to my entire website, and we go into here, let's just say for this blue bar here, I don't want to output that on my blog posts. How would I go and do that? So here I could click up to there and I could go here to the conditions builder and click and then go add a condition. And then here we want to go all the way to the bottom and go dynamic data. And then we want to open up our brackets and write echo and then get underscore post underscore type. And if when we get the current post type of the page that's trying to be accessed, if that post type is not equal to post, so it's not our blog posts, then show this on the page. So before we save this, let's go to the front end of our website. So here I am on my home page and we could go to articles and this is my blog page. And if we go down and have a look at this here, we're now on an individual blog post. So the current post type for this URL here is going to be post. And we defined here, if the current post type is not equal to post, but the current URL is actually a blog post. So if we save this and go back here and reload the page, you can see now that's not output for our blog posts. So that's one way you could go out and show and hide elements based on the post type. Let's go into our header template and let's add another condition. So let's just say for this top area up the top here, that blue bar, I don't want to output it on my blog posts, but I also don't want to output it on my opt-in pages. So here we would go add a condition, and then here I would go all the way down and just repeat the process. So I could copy that from there, put that down there, and then as long as the current post type is not equal to, and then I'll output the post type for my opt-in pages, which is WFFN underscore opt-in. So if the current post type isn't our blog posts and it's not my opt-in pages, then show this on the page. So if I go to the front end of my website and I go to an opt-in page, so I'll go, back to my admin area, and I go to FunnelKit and funnels, and then here my 21 days email course. If I have a look inside this funnel, so you can see this funnel has 3 different steps. And if I open them up, 1, 2, and then 3. So this is the opt-in page where people can go down and put in their email address to get my 21-day email course. So once they put in their email address and they opt in and there you go, join the waitlist, they then get redirected to this second step in the funnel, which says, please check your inbox. And then I send them an email. And if they click the link in that email to opt in, because it's a double opt-in, they then land on this third step in the funnel, which says, thank you, you're on the waitlist. And they've double opted in, I subscribe them to my mailing list. I just wanted to go through those 3 steps because we are going to be using them in today's video when we do go out and try and show and hide things based on post types. But coming back to this first step in the funnel, my opt-in page where people can go and put in their email address to get my 21 days email course. If I go up and right click and then just inspect element here, I can see that the post type of this opt-in page is this WFFN_opt-in, which is what I've added there. So if I go ahead and save this now and go back to this opt-in page and I reload the page, you'll notice that the blue bar at the top removes itself. If I go back to my home page, it's back again. So now this blue bar is not showing for our blog posts or our opt-in pages. So let's go ahead and up here, I'm just going to update this call to action so it makes a little bit more sense for today's video. So I just updated it to say, to get my 21-day email course, Bricks Builder tips and more. Now let's go ahead and link this button up here. And I'm going to link it to, I'll go internal page or post, and I'm going to search for email course. So opt-in page, email course, and in brackets, it shows the post type and it's opt-in page. So if I click that, what this is doing is when people click this button over here, they're going to be taken to that first step in my funnel, the opt-in page. So if I go back here and save that, and we go on the front end now and just reload the page, people will land on the page, get my 21-day email course with Bricks Builder tips, get access. They click this, then they land on the opt-in page, and then down here they can put in their email address and join the waitlist. Now let's just go ahead and do that. So I'm going to put in my email address here, and then let's go join the waitlist. And now we land on the second step in the funnel. But now up here, we have that again, trying to get us to fill out what we just filled out. So we want to exclude this blue bar from this post type, whichever post type this is that we go as the next step in the funnel. So if I right click and go inspect, I can see it's a single, and then this is the post type here. So WFFN_OTY, and that stands for opt-in thank you. So let's copy that. Let's go back to our header template, click on our blue bar, back to the conditions builder, and now let's add another rule here. So let's go add, and then we'll go down, and we're going to go all the way to the bottom again, dynamic data, and then we'll copy that from there, we'll paste that there, and then does not equal, and then we need to put WFFN_OTY for opt-in page thank you. So let's go ahead and save this. So now back here, let's reload that second step in the funnel, and now it's removed. So please check your inbox. So I've just got the email that says, hey, thank you for filling out that form. Now, if I click here to confirm, and I click that, we land on this third step in the funnel, which says we're subscribed, we've double opted in. And then down here, it says you've joined the waitlist. Now, the blue bar is not output here. So if I right click and inspect element here, it's I can see that this is just another opt-in thank you page post type. So we're dealing with 2 different post types for our opt-in funnel here. This one here is an opt-in page post type, and then these next 2 are opt-in confirmation or thank you. And you can see that it actually gives us an indication here inside of FunnelKit. And if you guys aren't using FunnelKit, you definitely need to check it out. I'm going to leave a link in the description below. It's where you can build all these opt-in funnels, sales funnels for WooCommerce with upsells and downsells after the checkout page. You can pretty much do everything. It replaced ActiveCampaign for me. Here under FunnelKit and then automations, I have all my contacts in there. So it's my CRM. I can send broadcast emails just to my mailing list and segments. And I can do all different automations. So just automated email sequences. But I don't want to get sidetracked on that today. I have videos on my channel already. We're really trying to focus on Bricks Builder and showing hiding elements based on post types. So coming back to the front end of our website now, if we think about this logically, we have this bar up here with our call to action. People can click this. They land where they can opt in. So down here, they can put in their name and email address. So the blue bar is gone. That's what we want. We're not confusing anyone. And then every step after this in the funnel, we don't have the blue bar because it doesn't make sense because they're already in the process of taking that call to action. Now let's go ahead and make this a little bit more complex. So here I am under bricks and templates, and I'm going to go down and here section email course. So you can see the type for this template is a section. So if I edit with bricks, you can see that inside this template is just a section. And if I open that up, we have a few things in there. And if I slide that up and go down just a little bit, you can see that we have this form here. So this section is a call to action for that 21 days email course. So just the same call to action as that blue bar in our header. So let's go ahead and add this section into our footer template because I want this to show above our footer on every page on our website. So back here in templates, I'm going to go to footer and I'm going to edit with bricks. And then I'm going to go up here under elements and I'm going to search for the template element and add that in there. I'm going to drag that above the footer. And then here for select template, I'm going to select the email course section. And now that's output here above our footer. So if I save that and we go to the front end of our website again, if I scroll down to the bottom, you'll be able to see that here we have that section there. And it's a little bit large because I'm zoomed in so that people can see the code in these videos. It's not actually this big if you visit the website, but you can see that is there now. So now if we go up and we have someone go, yes, I want to get access to this email course, and they click this and they land on our opt-in page post type, down the bottom here, now we have that same problem that we had with the blue bar at the top. We have this section down here that's asking people to opt in for the same thing that is just above here. So we really want to exclude this section template under the same post type conditions that we did the blue bar in our header. So let's go ahead and set that up. Now, the first thing that I want to point out here is that you might think that you can do the following. That you can come here under bricks and then templates, and then the section email course you could edit with bricks. And then here you could go to settings and then template settings and conditions, and you could add a condition for this section template. And you could say you want to, for post types, you want to exclude outputting this section if the post type is, and then we could add our opt-in pages, our opt-in confirmation pages, which is the second and third step in our funnel. So with that done, let's go ahead and save that. And then back here on our home page, let's click to go to our opt-in page. So now we're here, and if we scroll down, it's still output there. But if we go back to our sections and I just reload this, it does say that for this section template, it's going to output everywhere excluding our opt-in pages and our opt-in confirmation pages. But if I go back and have a look at this and right click and inspect element and go up, you can see that this is actually our opt-in page post type. So it's not following the settings that you set there for the conditions on the actual template when we're editing the template. So I just thought that was worth pointing out. So to recreate this to have the same conditions as the blue bar in the header, I'm going to go back here and I'm just going to remove this because again, they're not really doing anything, and I'll just save that. And then we need to go into our footer template where we added that section template. And then we need to add the conditions again. So we'll go to conditions and then add. And then here we just need to repeat the process. So we'll go down, dynamic data. And then I'm just going to go ahead and open up the header template and we're just going to copy and paste. So back here, I'm going to edit the header template. And then here I'm going to go to conditions and we're just going to copy these three conditions across. So I'm going to copy that. And then we need to do post, the opt-in, and the opt-in thank you. So back here does not equal post, and then we'll add another condition, and then we'll go down the bottom and we'll paste that in there, and then does not equal WFFN underscore opt-in, and then we add our third condition down here, and we'll go dynamic data, paste that in there, and then we do does not equal, and then WFFN underscore opt-in, thank you, opt-in confirmation. So now we've gone out and we've recreated the same conditions for this section as our blue row in the header. So let's save this. And back on our homepage, let's go through it. So somebody lands on this here, and if we scroll to the bottom, you can see that that section is output before the footer. Now, if I go up again and they said get access, we land in our opt-in page, post type. And if we go down, you can see we're not doubling up with the form there. So that's working. Now, if I put in my details again, like this, and we go join the waitlist, we land on the second post type, which is our opt-in page, thank you. Again, if we right click and inspect, you can see it's our WFFN opt-in thank you. And if we go down a little bit, we don't have that section outputting at the bottom. And we know the third step is the same post type as this here, so we know that it's working. So as you can see, we can go out and do what we needed to do today using the built-in interface inside of Bricks Builder by doing our conditions as we saw there, stacking the 3 conditions with and logical operators. But what we can also do is we could use a little bit of PHP code to manage this, because the Bricks Builder team have given us that capability, and you might actually prefer to do that. So what I want to do now is show you how we would go and do what we just did using the Bricks interface with a little bit of PHP. And by the end of this video, hopefully you'll know which one you want to gravitate towards, because at the end of the day, the Bricks Builder interface, we can do things very, very fast, but with a really complex website and just some things that you might want to do based on conditions, you might prefer to write things with your PHP code, because with code, we have access to pretty much do whatever we want. So let's look at how we would go and add our post type conditions to show and hide things based on post type using PHP code. So the first thing that I'm going to do is undo the conditions that we just set in the Bricks interface. So I'm going to go edit with Bricks for the header. And then for the blue bar at the top here, I'm going to go under here and I'm just going to delete all of these like that. And I'm going to go save. And then for the footer, I'm going to edit this. And then here we're going to go up there and we're going to delete these as well. And I'm going to click save. So now that that's done, let's go to our admin area. And then go to wherever you write your custom PHP code. So I write all my PHP snippets now in this plugin here called WP Codebox. So if I click on this, you can see I have all my custom functionality that I've done for my website in this one interface. So all my custom CSS code, my JavaScript, and my PHP snippets are all done in here. So if you aren't using a snippets plugin, you might want to go to Appearance and then Theme File Editor. And then select your child theme over here and then go to your functions.php file, scroll to the very bottom and start adding the code there. But I really do prefer using a snippets plugin like that. So if you're not using one, I definitely recommend checking out WP Codebox. It's very affordable. It's a lifetime deal, currently 20% off, I think. But back here in WP Codebox, let's go ahead and I'm going to click add new snippet. And I'm going to call this Bricks conditional logic. And then it's going to be a PHP snippet, and I'm going to leave that all there. We might actually want to only run this on the front end of our website. So let's go ahead and save this, and I'm just going to move that across and enable that and save, and now we're ready to go. Now back here on the blog post, I'm just going to go down and get the code from there. So PHP code, so I'm just going to click on that and go down to where I wrote the code, and we're going to start here. So this is the sample code that the Bricks docs gives us to start with. So let's copy that and let's paste it in there. Now having a look here, it says add filter, Bricks element render, and then it says render is true. So that's by default, render is true. It wants to output every element on the page from Bricks Builder, but you have the ability to set render to false, and then it skips that element. So it'll make more sense as we go through this, but just know by default, render equals true, because when you're adding and designing elements in your page, you want them to be output, so render is true. But if it gets to an element here, and then in our code, we're saying set render to false for that element, it means don't show that particular element on the page, so we're saying it to false. Now, coming back to the blog post, if we just scroll down a little bit to look at the code we're going to write today, you can see that we have our render function here, and we do some checks to see what the current post type is, which we're going to look at in just a second. But you can see down here that we're going to check the ID of the Bricks element during our function. So let's go ahead and set IDs for our elements. So back here in our templates, let's edit our header. So let's click up here, and then this is where we add the ID of our element. So we want to go edit, and I'm going to call this top-bar and press enter. And you can see now it has the hash icon there, so we know it's a HTML ID, and it has top-bar as its value. Now, when you go and click edit here and you set an ID for an element, if you go to style, and you go under CSS and you scroll down, you can see the CSS ID is top-bar. So if I don't save this, and we go to the front end and I right click and then inspect, you can see that the ID for this section is what it was before. That Bricks just generates a 6-letter ID here and adds BRXE hyphen as a prefix. So BBWRNB. If I just edit this and remove that and press enter, BBWRNB. So by going up here and editing this and doing top-bar and pressing enter, we're setting a custom ID for this element, and it adds it as, well, Bricks recognizes it as its CSS ID. I guess Bricks does that so that in its code, it can distinguish between our custom ID and the ID that it generates behind the scenes to do whatever it needs to do. But let's go ahead, and for this, let's go and save. And then back here, let's reload this. And you'll see now that's changed the ID to top-bar. So now we have a custom HTML ID for this section. So let's go and do the same thing for the footer. So I'm going to go edit, and then I'll click on the template. So let's go ahead and set our ID here. So I'll go edit, and then I'll go CTA-footer and press enter. Now that is applied. So if we go to style and then CSS and go down, the CSS ID is now set to CTA footer. So if we save that, go back and reload, you can see that our template element now has the ID of CTA-footer. So knowing that, we're ready to go in and write our PHP code. So back here, I'm going to leave the code as it is, and we're going to just add to it. So here, the first thing that we want to do is just make sure that if we're trying to exclude these elements, if it's an opt-in page or an opt-in page thank you page post type, those two post types, if it's those two post types, then we'll go through and exclude our items. But if the page that's trying to be loaded isn't even those post types, we can just exit this because we don't really need to do anything. So let's go if, like that, and then we'll say is singular, and then this can be an array, so we can have multiple values here, and we'll put in our opt-in page post type, so WFFN underscore opt-in, comma, or our second, which is a thank you page, so WFFN OTY. So if when Bricks is trying to render the elements on the page, if the current page being rendered isn't the post types that we're trying to add conditions for, we can just return render here. So I'll add some comments here as we go. So if it's not any of these post types we're trying to add conditions for, then we can just end this function right away. We don't need to go and do anything else. And actually here we need to do not. So if it's not a singular opt-in or opt-in thank you, exit it. But if it is one of these, then it continues. And now we need to add our code that's going to hide those two elements for these two post types. So our top bar and our footer CTA. So we need a way to target the element and check the ID equals our IDs that we just set in Bricks Builder. And if it does, then we will hide them. So we'll set render to false. So let's try and see how we can get the ID of the element. So let's copy that. And we're going to need to output this on the page and see all the different information about this element variable. And to do that in PHP, we can do var dump like that. But if we put that in there, I'll show you what this does. Let's save this. And then back here, let's click to go to our opt-in page. And you can see we get a lot of gibberish here. If you can see that scroll bar there, it is a lot of data here on this page. The scroll bar is tiny because we have to remember for every single element on our page that Bricks Builder is using to create our page, as Bricks Builder goes to render every button, every section, every little thing on our page in Bricks Builder, it checks this function, and our function is outputting all the data about every single element inside of Bricks Builder. So that's why it's just a massive mess right now. So let's try and clean this up. So back here, what we can do is we can do echo, and then here we can do pre, like that, and then a comma, and that, and then another comma, and then in here we'll close our pre tags like that. And this, with the commas, it's something that I learned recently in PHP. It's the equivalent of doing the following, where you would do echo this, like that, and then you would do this, and put that there, and then you would do that and close the pre-tag. So echoing this, that, and that, just by doing the comma separated there, it does them in this order. Now, if you try and do it like this, it's not going to work where you're concatenating it. You do need to do the commas. I just wanted to point that out there. It's just something that I learned recently. So let's go ahead and save that. And because we're putting into pre-tags, it should be formatted nicer so we can actually see what's going on. So back here, let's reload the page. Again, it might take a little bit because we're doing this for every single element, but you can see it's a bit easier to read now. So now if we search for our custom HTML ID, so top bar, you can see there it is there. And if we have a look what's going on, so inside our object for the bricks element, we have under the property element, inside there that contains an array with 7 items. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So the 5th item under element is settings, and that contains 3 items in an array. 1, 2, and the 3rd one is CSS ID. So that's how we can go and get it from there. Now, if I go back to my blog post and we click to open up the Bricks Builder docs and we scroll down a little bit. So this is what we're going to do. If you just want to copy and paste it from my blog post or copy and paste it from the Bricks docs, it's there. But I just wanted to show you the underlying code of how this is working so that it makes a bit more sense. So coming back into here, I'm just going to comment that out because we don't really need that now. And we can just do if like that. And we could actually output just this element if it meets our criteria. So I might move that down there. So if the current element, so here it was element settings and then CSS ID. So element settings, and then in here settings is an array. So we're in here, so it's an array. So we want to access this there. So that key, and then we'll get its value. So back here, we put that there. And we want to say if the element ID equals, and then top bar, then we'll temporarily output the details of that element. Now, not all of our elements on the page have IDs. So if it tries to render an element without our custom ID on there, it won't be able to do that. So we actually need to check that an ID actually exists before we compare its value to what we're trying to check against. So here we'll go HTML ID equals, and it's going to equal the ID of the current element that it's trying to render. And then if there is a HTML ID, so if one exists and that. So now if an element goes through and it doesn't have an ID, then it won't fail. But if it does have an ID, this will be true, then it checks its value to see if it is that. And actually, let's just go ahead and hide that to make sure that what we're doing is actually working. So we'll set render to be false for this particular element. And back here, let's reload. And now the blue bar is hidden up the top. And we can actually go down and we can hide this one as well. So remember, if I right click and inspect, we set this to be the ID CTA-footer. So back here, we can actually replace that to that. So we get the ID of the current element, save it to this variable. If there is an ID and the ID equals top bar, and now we just need to add that second condition there. So what we can do is add a new variable. So we could say, so here we could say as a new variable, IDs not to render, and then they equal, and this could be an array because we could have multiple here. So the first item in this array will be our top bar, and then the second item in the array will be our CTA footer, like that. And then down here, if the current element has an ID, and now we just need to check, and in array, this is just a PHP function where we check the current ID, whether or not it is found in this array, then return false. We'll come back and look at this in just a second, but let's save this and just see if that's working. So back here, let's reload, and hopefully this should hide. And now that's hidden. So going up, now both of those elements aren't output on this page. If we go to the PHP docs in array, you can see, I actually quite like how they were this. So the needle in the haystack. So get a value that you're checking, so the current element's ID, and check it against a list of IDs. And if the ID is found in this list, then it returns true. So here, what's basically happening when top bar is going through, it's trying to render top bar. It comes down, is the current post type a opt-in page? Yes, it is. So this is not true. So it continues down. It gets the HTML ID from here. So HTML ID would equal top bar at this point. And then in our array, we add the IDs we don't want to output on the page. And then if the current ID, top bar, exists and top bar is found in this list, which it is, now this is true, then go inside here and render equals false for this item. So that's what's happening there, and that's how it's working. Now, just to be neat and tidy, we do want to set this third argument here. It's a Boolean, so true or false, and it's by default false. And then it says when the third parameter here is set to true, it will check the types of that. And then it says prior to PHP 8, it just goes to this. If not absolutely certain of the types of values, always use strict. And I think we should probably just do it in this case. So back here, I'll go up to there and I'll say true. So compare the types of them as well. So now we've gone and set our post type conditions up here, and then we're not outputting elements using that code down there. And if we go back to our funnel, so under here, and then into this funnel here. So if I open up our opt-in page here, the opt-in page post type, you can see that both those elements aren't outputting there. And then if we go back to the opt-in confirmation post type and we open up one of these, you can see that they're both not outputting there either. Now there's obviously a bit more involved in this PHP snippet, but if you go back to the docs and we go up a little bit, it says here in the actual Bricks docs, Bricks introduced element conditions, which is how I showed you how to do it using the Bricks interface. Use this PHP filter for more complicated scenarios. Now, while you did see that it's very easy to go and set the post type conditions in Bricks Builder using the interface to achieve what we did here today, for me, it's a little bit more set up here. I mean, I'm trying to practice my PHP, so I sort of like the challenge to go out and do this. But the benefit of doing it this way is, let's just say in the future, I install another plugin and that registers another custom post type, and I want to go and exclude both of these elements from that custom post type. I could go into templates and then the header, open that up, and then go to the bar and then go to conditions, then add a condition, and there would already be conditions here, and then I would just go and set a new condition and do it that way, and then go and edit the footer and do that again. But the problem with that is that, let's just say we're excluding 3 or 4 different post types, and we want to make sure they're exactly the same. We need to actually, use our brains, use our eyes to compare to make sure we haven't done any spelling mistakes, and just make sure that it all works, and keep both of those conditions that we're setting in the footer and header template exactly the same. Whereas if I go into my PHP code here and that plugin registers a new custom post type and I just want to exclude it, all I have to do is come into here and just do a comma and then add the new post type. So for example, if we go to FunnelKit and then funnels, if I go add new funnel and I make this a sales funnel and I choose to use Gutenberg, and I go down and let's just say I want to choose something like this. So I go preview and then I import this funnel and activate, and I just say test, add. So now I have a landing page here and it's a sales page post type. So if I view this on the front end, here's that sales page that we just imported for the top of our funnel, like that. But now I need to go, and if I right click and inspect element and go up to the top, we can see that this is another post type. It's a WFN landing. So copy that. And all I need to do to exclude those 2 sections now from this post type is come back in here, paste it in there, and then save. And now both of those have been updated to not output on that post type. So if we go back here and we just reload the page, you can see they're not output up there. And if we go right to the bottom, they're not output down there. So if you want to learn more about what we went through in today's video, you want to get a link to all the code that I wrote today, and you also just want to learn a little bit more about my thoughts and see a text format of the video today with some screenshots that are high quality that you can easily follow along with, definitely check out the blog post. I'm going to leave a link to it in the description below. Feel free to use the table of contents here. It'll take you to the different parts. The quick and dirty step-by-step just shows you how to go and use the PHP code that we looked at the start in the Bricks interfaces condition builder. So we go through that. And then also down here, we run through the custom PHP render function, the filter, and we sort of go through a bit more detail there. But definitely let me know in the comments below what you thought of today's video. I honestly sat down today and thought this was going to be like a 10-minute video. I'd already wrote the blog post, but as I went through into this video, there was just so many different things that I wanted to explain how they worked and explore the underlying PHP code and basically just see what the hell's going on here. So definitely let me know in the comments below what you thought of this longer video going through something that seems like it is a simple thing. And just know there's no right or wrong way. I think if you're using the PHP filter function or the Bricks interface, you can use both. So for very simple things that you know you're not going to have to, it's not going to add complexity later on. The Bricks interface, just quickly click in there, you're in there building your website. Only show this button if the user is logged in. Maybe it's very quick to do that in the builder interface. But with the PHP stuff, you do have that extra flexibility and you can make mass updates, I find quite easy. So definitely let me know in the comments below if you're going to try out the PHP method. And I'll leave these two videos on your screen now that YouTube thinks you're going to get benefit out of. I'd probably recommend watching this one here, but I'll see you in one of my next videos.